Hello, I am MP Misra. In this session, I am with you with a topic which is related to each and every aspect of application whatsoever you deal in your life or whatsoever you develop in the field of computer science. Today, I have selected the topic titled QoS in mobile communication. So the term QoS, that is quality of services, is very important term in all kind of application or in all kind of services, whether you develop it, whether you provide it, or whether you are a user at the receiving end of any services. You give very much importance to quality of services, parameters, whatever parameters are associated with that particular services, you very clearly and closely try to watch that particular and try to avail the maximum benefit out of that particular service. And even for service provider also, it is very important that whatever they are committing to provide as a service in any area, that commitment to be fulfilled. And if that commitment is not being fulfilled 100%, you say that quality of services is having certain lapses, something in that quality of service is missing. So we will try to just run around the different aspects associated with quality of services in terms of mobile communication services. We will try to find out what are the services which may come under quality of services and what are the hurdles which are there that force the service provider to think twice before committing that this particular quality of services will be provided to the user, and user will be getting a level of satisfaction in respect of different parameter of quality of services. So let us start our discussion with seeing contents which we will try to explore in this session. So the content for discussion of today's session will be communication and computing. So we will try to put some light on what actually communication is and what is computing is, and where the mobile communication is coming in this particular arena. And then we will try to define quality of services in respect of mobile communication, and then we will try to identify some factors which are affecting quality of services in wireless communication, and then we will see from where these factors are coming. Actually, we will try to find out some challenges which are there and why these challenges are taken in terms of providing quality of services in mobile communication, and then we will see what are the current technologies which are being used for providing mobile services, and beyond that we will also try to find out if the latest technology, for example, if today we are using second generation and then we are moving to third generation, that is your 3G network, and even beyond that also research is going on. So what are the factors which are forcing to go to some other kind of technology or movement into some other kind of generations which are going to affect the quality of services. Then a very realistic view we will take on the characteristics which a common man, which a common user will think about, which to be provided in terms of services which are being offered by a communication network or rather a mobile communication network. And then we will see what are the core network QoS components and what formal mechanism may be there to control certain parameters of the quality of services so that a satisfaction level may be achieved in that service parameters. So let us start our discussion with communication and computing. If we talk about communication, we talk in terms of something sender and receiver aspect. In any communication, at least two parties are there, that is one sender and one receiver. And then if you talk in terms of infrastructure which is being used for communication, you can say there is a wired communication, and from there you may move to wireless communication. In wired communication, you are having wireless line or wireless phones or wireless connectivity is there through which you are trying to communicate from sender to receiver. And in wireless communication, you are not having a wired connection or physical connection existing between the two parties. One is sender and one is receiver in this respect, and between sender and receiver you are not having a physical link or connection. So in that way you can say that your wireless communication is having more freedom of location and time, and if it is having more flexibility in terms of location and time, so it is having challenges also, because this freedom is not coming without any cost. It is having its own cost also, and that comes in terms of quality of services, and certain parameter arises out of providing the services in mobile communication, and those parameters ultimately turn up into a very major constraints in terms of providing quality services in mobile communication. So these freedom of location and freedom of time come with certain cost, and that cost comes as a quality parameter. And further, if you talk about networking and computing, then you can say that intelligent telecommunication network software, and then it ultimately turn up into a network or pervasive computing. And that computing is nothing but your intelligence application at the edge of the network and programmable service which are available at intermediate with switching technology, and switching infrastructure is already available in your mobile communication structure, and that switching technology is ultimately helping you to reach from one non-physical location to another non-physical connected location. In wireless environment, basically you are having wired network, but that wired network is working at the backbone. So at the backbone you are using certain switching technology, you are using certain programming to handle different calls or different streams of the data, and that streams you are sending from one location to another location. And further, your network computing become pervasive by adding mobile component into it, or if you are having a wireless connectivity of the network, so your computing is also giving you flexibility of freedom, flexibility of time, and flexibility of computing in a distributed manner. So these all things are coming, and these are the basic characteristics of your pervasive computing. So pervasive computing is very much associated with mobile communication aspect. And beyond this, if you talk about your basic phone or basic PC, you are talking about embedded devices, sensors, smart processing devices, or smart tracking devices. So these all devices are using wireless communication, and obviously computing is there, but computing is taking place with the help of the wireless communication in a distributed environment. So these all are the basic aspect of the mobile communication which are taking it to a higher popularity level, and that popularity level is because of flexibility in terms of movement, flexibility in terms of time, and obviously you are free to move anywhere. You are not in a physical environment bounded with a physical network. So your network is there, though you are not having a physical visibility of that particular network. So how these all aspects are leading towards a more challenging task in mobile communication or mobile computing, and actually we will look into what are the parameters which are affecting to achieve this freedom of time and freedom of movement. Now next question may be here, that why quality of services in mobile communication. So as we seen that mobile communication is offering freedom of time and freedom of movement or freedom of space. So in that respect, how you will take the quality of services which you were taking in a physical network or in a wired network. So wired network quality of services are having some more advantage, or they are in more advantageous position while offering services than wireless communication. And that we can note here with that IP QoS technology have moved beyond best effort. Wireless must interoperate with IP QoS, therefore wireless must provide quality of services. So if you are going to provide IP based services or IP QoS related parameters, you have to think about the quality of services, because whatever computing, whatever communication you are doing on that particular IP protocol, the quality of services or quality parameter associated with IP protocol must be adhered to, and that parameter must be provided during wireless communication also. So some requirement of quality services comes in terms of streaming of application. If you are having real-time application, then how you are going to deal with, what are the constraints of the resources available for communication, and other applications also may be that if you are having 2 or 3 category of application, how you are going to identify and how you are going to make minimum availability of the resources to continue those services. And further, if you talk about network operations or network operators in terms of this quality of services, so efficient use of network resources is very much essential in terms of mobile communication or wireless communication. And service differentiating, offering services at level of agreement is the essential aspect or essential commitment from the service provider to think into. And major quality constraints or major component which really create problem while you are talking about mobile communication or mobile computing. Throughput is one of the constraint, jitter effect and some other kind of errors are there, and these all are coming due to certain resource crunch at some level. So we will see what kind of resource crunch mobile communication is having, and let us see some more factors which are going to affect in your wireless communication. Then you will be in more clear position to understand that how actually the mobile communication is having challenges in providing quality of services in communication. So these challenges are attenuation is one of the major problem in wireless communication, multipath interference, though interference is problem in wireless communication, but multipath interference is having some more critical challenges, and this is one of the reasons that quality of services affected. Spectrum interference, noise, mobility. As we are saying, mobility is one of the very good characteristics or one of the advantage in mobile communication, but mobility is also a major hurdle in providing quality of services in mobile communication. Mobility affects in terms of location tracking, in terms of handover from one base station to another base station. You are moving your whole database to be moved to identify the kind of services you are availing, and resource utilization management is at very high level of optimization which is required when this mobility aspect is coming in mobile communication. And limited capacity, and this limited capacity is really a very big challenge in mobile communication. The scarcity of the bandwidth or scarcity of the spectrum faced by the service provider is one of the major challenge in your mobile communication. And this limited capacity causes so many hurdles in providing quality of services in mobile communication. So because these resources are unlimited, and these resources also suppose comparatively more costly in terms of providing all the resources in the mobile communication. So limited capacity of the bandwidth is major problem, and that is really a major challenge to offer quality of services. And because of movement, because of handover, because of interference, because of noise, high error rate is a probability which always exists in mobile communication. Now, if we talk about one by one these aspects, so the restricted spectrum is one challenge, that is your restricted capacity. It is scarce bandwidth. So that's why you are having 10 kbps, 100 kbps, 4 mbps, and similarly the bandwidth is very limited one, and in that only you have to provide services. And if suppose the number of user is increasing in a particular domain and the resource is very limited in terms of bandwidth, and if the majority of the user try at a specific time to avail the services, it is very tough for the service provider to provide service to all the users, because spectrum is the essential component needed for making communication, and if spectrum is not available, you will face the difficulty. So one thing here you may realize, that when you try with your cell phone to call to somebody else, and sometime you listen the message that network is busy, it means that the network in that particular area or in that particular base station is not having capability to carry you forward and make a connection established from your source to the destination you are looking for. So these aspects comes into picture because of the spectrum scarcity. High mobility. High mobility is also one of the major reason of taking care in quality of services. If you have to provide better quality of services, you have to have a very good mobility management system. You have to have a very complex distributed location database management system, so that your handoff, movement tracking, location tracking can be very easily identified, and accordingly future plan of action for providing services to the user can be identified. And complicated data services also comes into picture when mobile IP or this kind of technologies are used for wireless communication. And service delivery you can take also as a quality parameter and challenges. So service delivery basically talk about your voice data or some SMS kind of services. But if you have to increase the demand for data services, email you are talking about, or you are talking about something online, you are talking about something which is your web conferencing. So these all services need a real-time, not email may be non-real-time application, but if you are talking about stock watch, or you are talking about teleconferencing or web conferencing or mobile conferencing, then definitely in wireless communication these applications will come into this real-time application category. And real-time application handling in wired network or wired communication is comparatively more easier than in wireless. So in wireless the crunch of the resource comes into existence, and if you have to provide real-time application, you have to have the resources available with you, or you have to have reserve resources available with you for handling the wire wireless environment for providing real-time applications. Now, by seeing these parameters, you can say that if we are going or moving towards some other generation, for example, currently we are using second generation network, that is your GSM technology, and if you are talking about 3G, so why 3G is going to be more popular, or why 3G is going to be more easy in terms of providing quality of services? That is due to high data rate. If high data rate is there, so you can accommodate more services, or you can be more quick enough in terms of providing real time or quick application. It support quality of services, and based on standardized protocol interface, it is having unified competing protocol technologies. That's why 3G is coming into existence, to take care of the majority of the quality of services which are required to be provided in wireless communication. It offers multimedia services, which includes your voice, data, video and streaming based services, and based on data packet switching is available. Data traffic is dominating in 3G networks, and it is evolving toward all IP networks. So IP telephony or IP wireless telephony is feasible to be provided when you are using 3G network. So 3G is having edge over second generation network, and let us see how the evolution of 3G technologies took place. GSM network is going to enhance the services in 3 phases. Your first phase is general packet data radio services. Second is enhanced data rate for GSM evolution services, and other is wideband CDMA and WCDMA. GPRS allowed GSM mobile subscribers to connect to an IP based or X25 based network. So you can say IP telephony is going to take place or is possible in your 3G network. Edge has been approved by the ETSI and UWCC as the outdoor vehicular component of the IS 136HS. So the standard required for IP telephony is there, and Edge is going to be backward compatible with GSM and GPRS network also. And wideband CDMA introduce a new air interference based on 5 MHz channel bandwidth, and that's why WCDMA is also adopted as the air interference for the 3G network. So 3G network is going to take care of your quality of services constraints. It is going to map you to all IP telephony. So that's why it offers better quality of services. Now if we quickly summarize the aging of mobile communication or different generation of mobile communication. So in very first generation or analog communication, you were talking about general services like voice services only, and in 2G network you were talking about, or the service constraints were moved toward digital, and radical changes in the architecture and its component come into existence. Main services of 2G network or mobile network of 2G were voice, text-based short messaging services, and 2.5G moved from voice and text-based GSM to intermediate technology modification with introduction of GPRS and GSM, and this was having more advanced data services compared to second generation. And now in third generation, IMT 2000 standard, data rate from 144 kbps to 2 mbps. It is having more data rate. Enhanced multimedia services are there. You can very easily stream the videos of good quality, that is MPG4. Location based services like GPS is available there, and mobile computing is now a big possibility in 3G network because it is having fast data rate, so communication will be fast and it will be supporting the all IP communication, so distributed environment can be created very easily, and a distributed computing with the help of the wireless network is a feasibility with the help of the 3G network. And now, as we have seen different challenges and different parameters in terms of providing quality of services in mobile communication. Now, if we talk about further how actually you are going to deal with different aspects associated in your service for giving better quality of service for limited resources, because your bandwidth is very limited, and in that limited bandwidth only you have to manage the different services or different number of users. So how actually you are going to do it? For that, what you have to do at very first stage is that there should be a very control mechanism for admission control. And if you are having a good mechanism for admission control, there is a very good chance that while continuation of a service, you will not be in position to deteriorate the service which is already in the process, and you are not going to terminate a particular service in between the process. So admission control is one of the key criteria. And once again, the example of admission control you can take with your daily life example, that when you make a mobile communication or you are trying to make a phone call and you are listening a message that network is busy, it is some sort of control of admission, because network service provider or network manager is giving you a message that just please wait for a while because I am not having resources to make you in the communication. So a clear cut signal sent by the service provider to the user that I am not having resources, wait for a while till resources are available for further services to be taken up. And after that, another aspect is scheduling. If there are different tasks that to be handled by the service provider, so how actually that scheduling is going to happen, and how actually the service provider is having its infrastructure to identify that a user is now moving from one base station to another base station, and how beacon beam is being forecasted from the service user to the base stations, so that base stations can easily identify that now service user is approaching to another base station, and the control to be transferred from one base station to another base station to take care of the movement without affecting the whole communication process of that particular application. For example, suppose one application is currently working in a particular base station and moving towards some other base station. So in between, what is the requirement of the transfer of certain data, transfer of certain requirement for this particular application from this base station to another base station in which the user is moving towards, is a process which starts well before the user move from one base station to another base station. So for user, the application should be provided in such a way that user never feel that user has moved from one base station to another base station and now second party is providing the service. So this very soft movement from one base station to another base station is very essential quality of service component for service providers, or in terms of wireless communication you can say handoff handling is one of the key quality of services for the users. And second is that suppose a user is looking for a real-time application and the service provider is not in position to provide the required amount of bandwidth for that real-time application, then how service provider will take it, and how service provider is having its future schedule to provide different aspects of quality of services like delay, jitter, loss of rate, and scheduling also helps you to protect against misbehaving of flows, or misuse of bandwidth can be minimized, or better utilization of bandwidth can be done with the help of the better scheduling algorithm or better scheduling. So admission control, scheduling, these two are the important component while you are going to provide quality of services in wireless communication. And the important aspect of a general user. If I am a user of mobile communication, or if I am going to take a service of a mobile service provider, my very basic queries to the network provider or network service provider will be that the network should operate quickly and without delay. So speed is one of the query which will come in my mind, that when I am talking, there should be a very smooth conversation, and that smooth conversation can be done only if delay is not there in the passing the data, and if speed is there, it will be quickly. And the second answer of a general user, or second requirement of a general user, will be the traffic is reliable and it is transmitting the data reliably, and service is provided continuously. So reliability of the service and continuity of the service, these two are the major component. Once again, it will come into the mind of the user, and user will ask that if you are providing a service, the service to be reliable, means it should not be cheated somewhere. Reliability is a vast parameter, or it is a parameter which is having some component associated with it. It is not a single attribute parameter. Reliability takes care of several aspects while we are talking about wireless communication. In this particular, reliability means that whatever I am sending is reaching to the destination. It is not being taken in between. Something has been mixed up with the original data. My original data has not been taken by somebody else than to whom I am sending. So these all are the reliability issue. And then continuity is also the major aspect, and continuity means that once I am talking, I should be in the talking mode till I stop the application. So once I have established a connection, I expect that the connection should continue till my conversation is over, or till I say that now connection to be terminated. But if meanwhile connection is being terminated, the quality of services is not there, some call dropping is coming in between, that means there is some problem and the promised quality of services is not being provided. So how these all things can be done? These all things can be done if there is a very clean analysis of the requirement of the bandwidth. There is a very clear perception at the end of the service provider that if this particular service is going to be offered for a such duration, so for that whole duration this minimum required bandwidth will be provided, and no bandwidth will be taken from this current existing service, so that the continuity in the service is breaking, or while the service is in offer and it is going to take over a hand of the connectivity is not going to be destroyed, or connectivity is not going to be dropped. So that aspect to be taken care by continuity aspect of the quality of service. And the third point will be support and help desk services are required. So this is also very important quality parameter. Support services, you can say that if there is no bandwidth available, you are very clearly getting a message that the bandwidth is not available, you try after some time. Otherwise, one service also you can take as a support service, that if you are going to have a teleconferencing and for that duration you need a bandwidth available for that particular duration. So you can talk to your support services center and you can fix a point that I am going to use this particular service for this duration, and please make such arrangement that bandwidth available for my service for this duration to this duration. So if that kind of service is being incorporated at the service provider end, and service provider is very much aware that in this duration you will need this amount of bandwidth for communication, for teleconferencing or for web conferencing, so that particular is support service, and that support service is expected by the service user. And services which are being provided should be according to a flexible plan. Here flexibility in terms of user, that user may demand some more bandwidth while processing of the application, so that more bandwidth requirement may be filled by the service provider while the application is in process. And there may be some other flexibility parameter also, but this is one of the best example that there is a minimum requirement of bandwidth to start the service, but it may be later on you need some more bandwidth to add some more functionality in your conversation or in your communication. So that additional bandwidth is being offered by the service provider or by the wireless network while your requirement arise in the applications process. Now further, fifth point, you can say that the service provider not only transmit traffic but also protect your network from virus attacks and intrusions. So this virus attacks and intrusions is a real challenge in communication network, and if you are talking about wireless communication, your service provider must take care of that. These anomalies should not to be communicated to your device or should not be reaching to your device to affect the system. So there should be a proper filtering, there should be a proper type of security arrangement so that unexpected services or unexpected harmful applications are not reaching to you. So in summary, you can say that user look for performance as a quality of service, user look for reliability as a quality of service, and user look for security as a quality of service. Now further, if we talk about network QoS components, so buffer management is a mechanism or a component that may help in providing quality of service, and congestion control mechanism may help in handling quality of service. Now if we talk about quality issues in mobile communication, so these quality issues may be stated as an end-to-end connection in a wireless network is composed of one or more wireless and wire link with at least one wireless link. It means that your wireless network is not fully wireless, it is having wired link also at the backbone. So user mobility causes one or more of these links to change over time, which make it difficult for the ISP to ensure that end-to-end reliability is there. So your movement is one of the cause of the quality of services handling, and protocols like TCP that are designed for the wired network do not work well in your wireless environment. That's why these protocols assume that packet loss caused by the congestion on wireless network. Most packet loss are due to poor link quality. So because of the movement of the link whether it is wired link movement or wireless link movement, the package loss may be there, that we were talking about during handoff. If it is not very clearly handled, there may be a packet loss. And using the congestion control mechanism of the TCP to correct for these problems can cause large and variable in delay and low network throughput is as a result in terms of this delays. Now if we talk about mobile communication structure in which we are going to take care of these things, so we can say that packet arrives, it should be a properly mapping mechanism so that packet are diverted to proper destination, and admission control is one of the important aspect that to be taken care from the very beginning of starting of the application. And scheduling and resource allocation is also a task which to be taken care by the service provider. And channel condition is one additional task, that may be interference, maybe voice, maybe some inter-channel interference is coming, and that may turn up into quality of services losses. And if we talk about different traffic classes, so these different traffic classes, for example, fundamental characteristics, conversational pattern, preservation of time relation between information and entities, expect response request, destination does not exceed data within a certain time. So these all aspects are may be classified in different classes, and these different classes of the services may be taken care by providing different parameters in terms of quality of services. So with this we come to end of this session. These are some references given, and these references may be further refer for finding out more information in relation to quality of services. So in this session we tried to find out certain aspect associated with mobile communication, then we tried to raise certain questions related to different component associated in terms of quality of services, and then we seen that what are the challenges, why these quality of services are so challenging to meet in terms of mobile or wireless communication. So we tried to find out that mobile communication is really more challenging in terms of offering better quality of services than wired networks. And if we say mobile or wireless network, we totally mean that it is not fully mobile or wireless. There is a backbone network, and it is a mixture of wired and wireless network which is ultimately providing the whole service. And in this, the major component or major importance part which come into existence is that the quality of services is majorly affected due to reliability, and reliability come into existence due to the breakage of linking, whether it is wired link breakage or wireless link breakage due to movement or handoff. So these basic aspects we tried to cover in this particular session, and with this session come to an end.